Welcome, everybody, to the show that never ends. It's called Wrestle Watch. We're back again for another week of fun chatting about the world of professional wrestling, free agency, business, and other things. I'm Ryan.
I'm Doug,
What's-
having a
Yeah,
cup of coffee on this lovely Sunday morning.
same. Yeah.
Yes.
How's your roast?
My roast? What
Yeah,
roast?
your roast. Your
Roast?
coffee.
Oh,
Your beans.
you know what? It's okay. Are you a coffee snob? Are you like particular about your coffee?
I'm not a snob.
Okay. I'm very much not. Like I wish I was. I wish I could appreciate coffee because I really love coffee. But I'll be honest, like if you give me like, some like independent like lab roast that some place made, come in, you give me like a couple Folgers, I really can't tell that much of a difference. I can tell if a coffee's stronger though. Like if like I could tell like Starbucks is a strong coffee, or if it's just any coffee is particularly strong. But I do struggle with just telling if it means it's good or not. Because just because a coffee's strong doesn't mean it's good, obviously.
Yeah. So how is this one? Is it strong or good?
So this one is it's a normal Folgers, but I also have like some nicer stuff like mixed in just because I had some nicer stuff left over.
Okay.
And so I literally just like mixed it in with the Folgers. So it's Folgers with a touch of something else. And I once again couldn't really tell the difference. But I like it. It's good.
I have a Dunkin' Donuts coffee with a fun sticker on it. So
I do prefer Dunkin' over like Starbucks. I will say that.
oh, and it's in a Roots mug for Canada, where I
Yay.
do not live, but maybe someday, ladies. No, we're here for Wrestle Watch.
Yes.
So, this week's episode, we're going to be talking about a number of fun free agency related issues and some possibly not so free agency related issues in the world of professional wrestling. To give a slight rundown of what we're going to talk about this week, we have the return of AJ Lee to professional wrestling. What does that mean? How long is she going to be here? She's back for good. Is this good? We have AJ Styles. He has a possible retirement tease. Contract expires in February. What's that all going to mean? Bryan Danielson, looks like he's safe staying on commentary at AEW. We have some young phenoms like Bozilla and Adam Priest that we want to touch on. And then we have some, we're going to do some counter discourse, or possibly getting into the discourse related to AEW being alive or AEW being dead, very dead, for the 2300 Arena residency and HBO Max deals. So, without further ado, let's start with the hot item. Which one do you think is the hottest item this week as far as Wrestle Watch kind of things go?
I mean, I think we probably need to start with AJ Lee, which is interesting because we'll get into it, but I would say, okay, obviously AJ Lee returned to WWE on SmackDown.
Correct.
And she is now and she is signed full-time.
Yeah, that's what's
full-time contract.
That's
WWE.
what Body Slam has reported. Other outlets haven't doubled up on that yet, though. But yeah, that's what Body Slam is reporting. That it is a full-time, long-time deal.
Yeah, and I have no reason to doubt that. I'm sure that's what happened, but that aspect of it was very surprising to me.
Well, as long as it's Corey Hayes from Body Slam, I believe it. If it is their what you would call it network, then I would think that it's not as possibly accurate. Pro Wrestling Nexus, I think, is what their
their
sidearm. If it's that sidearm, then I would be a little bit more doubtful. But I believe it was Corey Hayes. So
that's the LFG of Body Slam, if you will.
But you were saying.
I was saying that, yeah, so I think that we heard the rumors for a while that she was going to come back in some regard. And to me, personally, I was not thinking this was going to be, oh, she's making a triumphant return to professional wrestling, because for a couple reasons. One, she hasn't wrestled in like a decade.
Yeah.
On top of that, she hasn't generally shown a lot of interest. Obviously, she's been on heels in roles like that, but I mean, she's has other things that she does now. Obviously, she was an author and really pushed that book. And to be completely frank, and this is something that I think a lot of people aren't really talking about, like women's wrestling is like in a completely different place now
Yes.
from when she was around. And I'm curious to see how she does in this environment.
Yeah.
Because to me,
yeah.
this is like I expected this to be sort of like a Trish Stratus thing, where it's just like a nostalgia act return, and she'll pop up here and there. But seeing her come back like full into 100% into a full-time contract, potentially just being back on the road, I'm genuinely surprised by this.
Yeah. So wrestling has changed a lot since she left. I would say that two of the biggest factors are going to be, I mean, like, let's talk about storytelling within WWE. For women has changed a lot. Just the storytelling aspect of it. They don't, they actually have stories of their own, usually. Although, ironically, the first thing that she's being brought into is a feud between her husband and another man.
She's not failing. She's not passing the Bechdel test. She has not passed it her entire career.
Yeah, up until now, and her historic period of her that influenced many was not something that it wasn't due to the stories that she was inspiring people. I don't think.
And maybe I should just people who don't know what the Bechdel test is. Maybe I should just clarify that it was a test where you determine it's like 3 criteria to evaluate like women's representation in media, and it was like, is there a character there must be and it was used for movies primarily, but it would be a film where they have at least 2 named women who talk to each other, and they must discuss something other than a man.
Yeah.
And throughout AJ Lee's career, like everything she was involved in.
Well, and that's I think that to broaden it a little bit is that is kind of the way that women's wrestling storytelling was in that time. It wasn't specifically her. So just to like be, fairer.
Of course not. Yeah, she's not writing these storylines.
No. So that would be if she is indeed staying long term, which it sounds like it's possible that she will be. I would say that will be a big change for her, which will be a positive change, definitely. I believe
they will. I think that's going to be fine. I think they absolutely are going to.
Yeah, I hope
shift in that regard.
Yeah, that's my big hope, is that after this initial storyline, they actually have her do something that's like actually about herself.
Yeah, that's the one I'm confident in. I'm guessing the next thing you're going to go into is what I'm thinking that I'm not too confident in. So I'll let you continue.
The quality of wrestling has changed a lot in the past decade. Mm-hmm. I know that she's inspired a bunch of wrestlers. I don't know how much that was based off of her in-ring prowess versus her character work. And the quality of match opponents, like if you were to, I'm not trying to say that she's a bad wrestler. What I'm trying to say is the quality of wrestling has improved immensely since the kinds of talent that she was working with 10 years ago. So it's possible that she didn't have the best dance partners back then. But I'm hopeful that she will have better dance partners now.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly where I was going. I mean, people always point to in 2013 she had that match with Caitlyn as like, oh, this was like this was a great legendary match, and it's very similar to that Lita Trish Stratus main event on Raw that everyone points to. I think largely because WWE just kind of pushes it as this big deal. But if you go watch it, the match is not good.
Yeah.
And the AJ Lee Caitlyn match is not good. But it's once again, it's hard to compare that with, you're looking at it through modern eyes.
Yeah, it's both a matter of how were they giving them any focus with producing the match, It's how were they giving them any time either. So like there's a lot of factors in there that like when we look at Trish Stratus wrestling now, you're like, oh yeah, no, Trish Stratus had something. It's just that they didn't really give her the opportunity to show off, I think, in the way that she could have showed off.
Yeah, that's how I would put it too. And on top of that, I think the big thing that we need to do is just wait and see how she does, because it is going to be, because we are getting this opportunity to look at AJ Lee as a modern talent,
Yeah,
in a modern context, and how she does now. You know, obviously, I'm expecting there to be quite a bit of ring rust. I mean, you haven't wrestled in a decade, and you're gonna be wrestling a style that you're not entirely familiar with. So, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not sure when her first match is. I don't think they've announced it yet.
well, it's they haven't announced it, but it's probably going to be that Wrestlepalooza.
Yep, that would make sense.
So that's probably the first match. I don't think that you would sell. I mean, you have a week, 2 weeks of programming beforehand. I wouldn't have her wrestle before then if I was business minded.
Yeah, I don't think they would do that. I think that they're very. And here's the other thing: it's neither show is going to be going against each other.
Yeah.
There might be an overlap like there was with All In.
First match, last match overlap. Yeah,
something like that. So, and it would be very dumb for WWE to try to like counter program the last match by putting something big on as the first match, because people already bought the show. So I feel like that'd be a dumb move.
I think that it would annoy people more than it would. Like the WWE doesn't usually say ahead of time. Neither does AEW. What's the first match of the card? They usually don't. It would if they don't announce it. It would annoy people more so if they were watching All Out. They're seeing likely Edge and Christian versus FTR. During the match, they're seeing on Twitter, oh yeah, that match already happened that you wanted to see. You know, like, they would probably tune in and get annoyed. If they announce it beforehand, then, like, I get it as, like, a counter program, because, like, that was the purpose of scheduling the show, was just a counter program. I would get it if they were to announce ahead of time, hey, yeah, the first match is going to be the CM Punk, Seth Rollins with their wives match, because that's really what the match is. It's not. I mean, Becky. We'll see if they, make a story for Becky and AJ to have of their own. And I'm sure that like where this is going to spill out is them having a match of their own and a story of their own after this match. But still, it would still. I wouldn't be surprised if WWE were to announce that as the first match, because that is the most likely match that would get people who are watching All Out to tune in and turn off All Out.
Yeah, but once again, and I really just don't think people are going to do that. If you already bought, like maybe if you're someone who's maybe just pirating the show, pirating the pay-per-view, sure, maybe you'll click off, because otherwise it's like you already sunk money into this. You're going to walk away from the main event.
I'm thinking the opposite, because it's, I already bought it, so I can come back and watch it anytime.
I suppose, but then I think you would have that feeling more so with this ESPN thing, because, it's a subscription service that you literally could just watch it whatever you want.
What if you don't? What if you were just saying as what you're saying, which was if you were somebody that is not necessarily legally watching All Out, what if you're somebody that doesn't want to pay for the ESPN because it's more expensive?
Oh, I guess that's a good. Here's the thing. Yeah. I think the ESPN, and maybe this is me. I mean, I think the ESPN cost is kind of blown out of proportion a bit, because I know for a fact, like I had the Hulu Disney Plus package that was like $26.99, and then they have a deal where it's like they'll throw in the ESPN thing, and it'll just be $29.99. So I'm paying like that $30, and I'm getting my Hulu and my Disney Plus in there as well. So I think that it's maybe people need to look at the actual cost. It's
for people that I think that your situation is different from possibly from the average WWE fan. because I would point out that if you were somebody that was only subscribing to Peacock for the PLEs, right?
Sure.
You were essentially paying $10, $12, $8. I can't remember the low tier price of Peacock off the top of my head. $8 to $12 a month, right?
Right. That's about
And
right.
now, let's say that you're not into sports and you don't have ESPN. Like right now, like you don't have a cable package, you don't have ESPN any other way. So you would be subscribing to ESPN Unlimited just for PLEs, right?
Yeah.
You are more than doubling the cost.
This is true.
So
I mean, I guess,
that person might not subscribe. And so that's why I think also WWE is trying to front load this card, is to try to win over people to subscribe. Whereas I think that like there's plenty of like let's do the counter, which is AEW. It's been reported plenty of times now that there is a large portion of the AEW audience is watching on Max.
yeah.
So
that's exactly.
they're already subscribed to HBO Max, so they don't have to. So it's not, oh yeah, I have to get the lowest tier HBO subscription and then pay for the pay-per-view, which comes out to around the same price as the actual pay-per-view on its own. No, it's not that determination for that person. It's cool. Let me just plunk down $40 when I could have been paying $50.
Yeah, I would imagine that most people, and that's the other thing, especially when you compare to Peacock, HBO Max is, I'm pretty sure, is a fairly, it's a
Well,
stronger streamer for sure.
I would say that HBO Max, if you are into film, I would say that HBO Max is better. If you're into hockey, it's better. If you're into college basketball, it's going to have Big East coming up, so that's pretty good too. But if you're into Premier League football, and if you're into NFL, possibly, or if you're into reality TV, Peacock is a very strong service for those
Poker
things. Or Poker Face, yes.
Yes.
Ryan Johnson, shout out to Ryan Johnson. But yeah, that and previously, if you were into wrestling, but now you get paid the same price roundabout to get HBO Max with a subscription tier that allows you to watch AEW programming for the same price that we were paying for Peacock just to see the PLEs for the weekly shows. So
We'll see how this all shakes out.
yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. That's kind of also getting into the topic that we were going to end with a little bit, which was the discourse stuff about AEW switching their programming to HBO Max.
Should we just, since we
Yeah.
already broached it, should we just get into that?
Yeah, so is AEW dead or alive for doing this? That's the big discourse topic going on right now. There's two streams of discourse going on. There's the AEW is very healthy for having this HBO deal happening. There's some people that are bemoaning that it's possible that 0 Hour won't have matches on it. Nobody knows what's happening, really, because it just, like, essentially it's just Sean Ross Sapp reporting that, like, oh yeah, they might not have matches on 0 Hour, or it might be a different pre-show than what the tailgate thing is. It's unknown from AEW what's happening. Then the other thing that was coming up was about 2300 Arena, that, like, the discourse was that it looks dinky and that's why ratings are down. So, what do you think?
So I would not be, I'll start with the first one. I would not be surprised if this 0 Hour, I mean, here's the thing. There's been 2 hour pre-shows for AEW before,
Yeah.
where the first hour is just a bunch of video packages and RJ City and Renee just kind of talking to random people. And then the second hour typically will have matches. I could see them keeping that format where, and then just having the 0 Hour be for free on YouTube or, you know, wherever they're going to put it. And then the TNT special be that last hour where the matches are. And I don't know about you, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't see why this is a bad thing that WBD and TNT are like, hey, let's have more content, more AEW content on our channels. I mean, that to me seems like positive.
Yeah.
That seems good. Especially in the wake of this HBO deal. I mean, I don't think it's been necessarily reported what WBD is paying to get this exclusiveness with the HBO, at least in terms of priority.
Yeah, there was some reporting that there is the contract wasn't for. So the contract gave HBO the option to do these add-ons, but that they were have to be paid for by HBO. So like every level of exclusivity for the pay-per-view stuff. So like we're not going to show the pay-per-views. We're going to show the pay-per-views for a certain cost. We're going to get exclusive rights to the pay-per-views. Like all those levels is different additional payment.
Yeah, and it seems like, yeah, and this is not obviously not going to be exclusive, but
yeah,
they are. If you look in the advertising and everything that AEW is putting out, they're definitely pushing people to HBO Max, and that's the one that they're advertising.
They'll say on broadcast, on pay-per-view and on HBO Max or something like that. They'll say, they won't say the other options. They'll just say HBO and pay-per-view.
And the graphics say pay-per-view on HBO Max.
Yeah, live on pay-per-view and then on HBO Max. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously WBD is paying for that.
Yeah.
So once again, we're seeing more situations where WBD is trying to, is giving AEW more money to do things. So obviously that's all positive. The flip side, though, is obviously just looking at the TV house attendance. And I mean, I think there's a couple things going on here. One, I think that AEW has really done a good job of pushing their pay-per-views as a big deal and a big event you want to go to. And I think the TV just isn't that. And part of me thinks maybe starting with the Chicago residency, I'm not necessarily going to go all the way back to the Texas residency because that was a while ago and that was just collisions. It wasn't really Dynamite. And I wouldn't even include the Hammerstein because that was only a week.
Yeah.
But the Chicago one, it was a smaller venue. It looked nice. It looked really good on TV compared to how the 2300 Arena looks.
Yeah, it looks prestigious.
Yeah.
It looks like oh, we're in a concert venue. We're not in a warehouse.
Yes. Like it definitely looked good. 2300 Arena definitely does not look good. And I think there is something to be said that maybe by doing these residencies and showing how small these are, that maybe it's not, they're sending a message that this isn't necessarily appointment viewing.
Yeah, I think that the two factors are so first off, when they did the residencies last year, when they did Hammerstein for a few shows and they did Arlington, they didn't do it immediately after a pay-per-view. It was not the next show. And this time, with Chicago and 2300, it was the next show. So you went from, oh, we're at the Texas Ranger Stadium. Look how big this is. Look how big the show is. And then it's, oh, yeah, we're in a theater.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, yeah, we have the largest crowd ever at the O2 Arena. We're international. We're great. And then it was a warehouse. So, like, it doesn't send the right message if that's the first show right afterwards. That's one problem. The other problem is specifically with 2300. It is a famous arena, but if you don't do anything with your broadcast to make it look famous, it doesn't look famous. It just looks like a warehouse. And so it makes it so that, like, if you're channel flipping, you're going to look at that and be like, what's going on here? I think that if they had done so I had written an article a year ago now that was suggesting for them to do residencies in the future for Collision and ROH, not for Dynamite. And I think that that's step one with this, is not to do Dynamite at a residency venue. I think also that what they could do is flip the script and make it ROH residency and, like, filmings. And then during that time, you do your ROH pay-per-view during that time, and you do a special Dynamite. So it's like, oh wow, we're going to be at Aragon Ballroom in the summer for 2 weekends, right? So you do Saturday taping, Wednesday you come back and you do a special Dynamite at Aragon Ballroom, and then next Saturday you do your ROH pay-per-view, essentially, and then more taping. So like you have like, cool, like this is the reason why I'm gonna go check it out. Now I have a build-up of like, oh, I'm a Chicago resident. I saw that they were doing a show. Oh, this one's a special show, and this is the special show that all the big Kenny Omega type people are going to show up for. So I'm going to really want to come for this one show. And then the other ones are like, like the house show kind of stuff. Like that's how I would recommend for them, rather than doing like, 3 weeks at 2,300, which like something that's also been said is that they don't announce the cards in advance with these shows. And I think it's because they sold out the tickets.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Obviously, I would like them to announce cards ahead of time. And first of all, I agree with you completely. I think that's probably the way to go about this. I think they definitely devalued Dynamite by doing these residencies, and I think that the fans kind of saw that. But in terms of
it's also not just devaluing Dynamite, but it's like making it so that there isn't a unique, cool thing about Collision, in a manner of speaking, too.
Yeah.
Because, like, it can be like, oh, what's unique about Collision? Well, Collision is the show where we have it, for a few weeks in a city. Yeah. Like, that's interesting. That's an interesting thing,
And it's on the weekend, too. So it makes sense that you would, hey, we're going to make this kind of like an event that you can kind of go to.
Yeah.
The weekends.
And you do it at venues where you that like you're going to be able to use them. So like, in the summer you can use Aragon Ballroom because it's pretty not a lot of shows happening. Around the year you can use 2,300 because there's not a lot going on there anyway. In the winter, you can use Hammerstein because there's not a lot going on there otherwise during the winter. So, like, you can, like, line up these things. You could use Universal Studios, again. Like, you can pepper these around the country and, like, do it so that you're building up to your ROH pay-per-views also with that manner. So that's how I would book it.
Yeah.
But
and so I think and that's the thing. I think ultimately they need to just look at what is going on with ticket sales and what they can, because they got to get creative with this. I mean, I would love for someone to like just go to like a run of the mill Raw or SmackDown taping, just start interviewing people outside the arena. Where did you buy your tickets? When did you buy your tickets? Where did you hear about the show? Where how did you decide when did you decide to go? Just all these, just get some general just polling from just run of the mill the people who go to WWE shows, because I'm willing to bet it's not a lot of hardcore wrestling fans. I'm sure a lot of them are. I mean, I shouldn't say that. A lot of them are, I'm sure, but I want to know who some of these other people that are going to these shows, the families maybe, who are just bringing their kids and stuff. It's like, where did they hear about it? Like, because I think that AEW, this is where they're really lacking, is just having that on the ground grassroots effort to kind of bring people into the buildings. And I'd like to see what WWE is doing differently, because I'm very curious how they're able to pull this off, because, we talked about a little bit, we touched on the ratings already, and obviously the Dynamite's ratings are down, which is why we're, saying that I felt that they diminished the importance of their TV, at least how it looks. And I think whether or not we know what that means compared to HBO Max, because we don't know.
We don't know.
Just putting that caveat in. But WWE's down too. I mean, SmackDown this past week, not
with WWE, the big thing for SmackDown is that last week, this we're gonna find out the ratings for this Friday SmackDown too. But last week was the first weekend of college football, and so there were games on Friday night that were big games, and then this week NFL ran a game on Friday night, so it's going to be the same thing. It's possibly going to be worse this week for it. AEW didn't have that last week. So that's kind of why I think that it's been peppered up a little bit more, is that why did this happen doesn't make sense. For Collision's very down too, but like it makes sense. Oh wow, like you only got this many viewers because you're up against Texas, Ohio State.
Yeah, this is whatever, the time of year Collision's a lost cause this time of year.
Yeah, but like it's so like nobody's worried about Collision, and I think nobody's really, I mean, year to year there's something to be said about SmackDown, but like when you're looking at week to week, you're like, well, this makes sense. This is the time of year where SmackDown's gonna, if you're gonna have it happen, it's gonna be these 2 weeks, and then after this, it's gonna be fine for SmackDown, kind of a thing. AEW though, it's like this is the time of year where like Dynamite shouldn't go down because it's not having any competition right now. So, anyway, we've talked enough about how AEW is dead, but somebody who might be retiring, not dying, is AJ Styles.
Sure.
So he posted on his Instagram a hourglass with the sand looking like the Phenomenal One logo, and the sands of time dripping through, dripping. And then it was reported by Fightful that his contract that he re-signed for, that we've discussed here on WrestleWatch previously, and why he has been in the unlikely tier for some time now, even though his contract was renewed. His contract was renewed for 1 year, correct?
Correct.
We didn't know how long that 1 year was from when he signed in, or if it was just a stopgap reception renewal. And he's in the remote tier, not in the unlikely tier, I should say. His contract is through February. In between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, it is randomly in February running out. Do we think that AJ Styles is going to be retiring at the end of this contract, or do we think that AJ Styles' time in WWE is ending at the end of this contract? What do you think the hourglass meant?
My gut is that he is not retiring. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like if he was genuinely retiring, I think we'd hear more about it. I don't think he'd be teasing it as much as I think he'd kind of pull the Bryan Danielson approach or the Sting approach, where he's saying, hey, I have 1 year left, and he would make sure people know, and he'd be, taking it all in as his last year. It just doesn't feel right that he would just be teasing it this way. I don't think it doesn't feel like a retirement.
And another factor on top of that would be when we consider something that we've discussed here on WrestleWatch a few times now is looking at the John Cena retirement right now for WWE. And we were talking about this a lot with Chris Jericho, where Jericho feels like the kind of guy that they could do a Cena-style retirement tour with, right? I think AJ Styles is somebody that you could do a retirement tour with as well. I don't think that he's Cena level necessarily, but he's somebody that you can do that tour with. Like, here's the last time you're going to see AJ Styles in this city. This is the last time you're going to see him in this city.
And I think that WWE has realized that, and maybe they saw the success that AEW had with Sting, and they're saying, well, we want to start replicating that. That seems to be a good way to, get a bump. So I think that they seem to be cycling people in. So maybe it's a thing where they don't want to, it could be a retirement, and maybe they're waiting till Cena's done. So they're not, they don't want to like step on Cena's retirement. And then when Cena's gone, maybe AJ will announce something.
Well, yeah. And but the problem with that, of course, is that Cena's retirement is now scheduled for December in DC of, famously John Cena, DC resident. For his retirement. Boston is very mad. But we have a date, right?
Yes.
We have a date for Styles' contract, February. That's not much of a retirement tour, is it?
Right, but here's the thing. Just because his contract ends in February doesn't mean that it absolutely that's it. It's that they could do something else or come to the table and say, okay, let's.
Well, this is the extension. This is the extension.
But that doesn't mean that it can't
happen again. Sure, but I would think that. But
you're right.
I would think that if WWE was going to AJ Styles this summer or earlier this year and saying, hey, So things went really well with the Cena thing so far, right? So do you want that next year for you? And his response is, yeah, just sign me through February. That's not a yes. That's a no.
It's not. And here's the other thing. I'm also trying to just play devil's advocate
Yeah,
with this.
yeah.
Because it does seem weird. It does seem like I don't think he's done. I don't think this is it. And so to me, and it makes, let's be honest, it makes a lot of sense for him to go elsewhere, especially right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that he would probably, I shouldn't say, no, I think it's a fair, we've probably done this before with the flow chart with him. I think this is a situation where AEW would probably value him more than WWE right now. And it's just a question of WWE, are they going to, overpay?
And I think that they would because of trying to get a retirement tour.
Mm-hmm. And is AJ someone that would take the less money to go do what he wants to do with his retirement tour, or is he content with? Because here's the thing, he's also always been a very, WWE is where I always wanted to be kind of guy.
Well, yeah. So I think both sides of that coin of do we think that WWE would counter higher after AEW puts in a bid? Yeah, I do think so for this purpose. Do we think that if WWE didn't try to counter, that AJ Styles would just go with WWE anyway? I think, yeah, that's possible too. Mm-hmm. So I think on both sides of that coin, the answer is still that the coin says he might still stay with WWE at the end of this contract anyway.
Yeah, he's one that I really have a hard. It's weird because everything in my gut feels like he could jump, but then it's like my brain tells me he's not.
We have TC in the chat saying it feels weird that AJ didn't get a Cena match given their history together. It's possible still that he'll get one. I think that Cena has 7 dates left on his schedule. I think it's 4 Raws and 3 pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. Or now one of those things is going to be Saturday main event. So I think it's still possible that we'll get that match.
Yeah. But he's in the remote tier, and I feel like that's fine. I think it's weird that I say that. It's like I feel like that's appropriate.
Yeah, for now I think that's appropriate. I would even possibly in the future bump him up a grade up to unlikely, just because now we have a date that's approaching pretty quickly, and if we were to take it at face value, it would be quizzical why the extension was only through February. So there's enough question marks with that would move it up one tier, but I think that it still is on the stay side of things.
If by New Year's Day 2026 we still have not heard anything about AJ retiring on WWE TV or anything like that, then that's when it'll probably be earlier than that, but definitely by that point, because then Cena's thing is over. At that point, then we got to raise the alarm bells for sure if we haven't done so yet.
Yeah. How about we talk about somebody that we did discuss this week on the polling, which is Bozilla.
Yes.
Are you a Bozillionaire?
Listen, I'm someone who is always. I followed Marigold from the beginning. I've never stopped following Marigold. I always thought that she was, she obviously stood out in that promotion as someone where you're just going to go, okay, who is this? Some kind of a Jade Cargill type situation where it's just very, very impressive aura, but obviously very green. And she has done well at hiding her faults, and especially did so in the Forbidden Door. And the Forbidden Door is why she's on this list right now, though, because she had a good showing at Forbidden Door where they went ahead and highlighted her strengths. And afterwards, she had an interview where people are asking her, where do you see yourself? And she did not make a Cora Jade mistake. She answered it very appropriately and said, my dream is to have a permanent place in wrestling, whether that's WWE, Stardom, or AEW. So throwing a little shade at MLW there.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Just, it's a shame. Tokyo Joshi Pro, sorry. Uh, not going to TNA, no Evolve for you. But those three. So she did, but she kind of threw out a bunch of names there, and that was smart of her. She didn't disrespect any of the three that are important.
She was also asked directly about WWE, for the matter. Yeah. Given that context, also, I suppose, like, you would say your response of, "Hey, so do you want to go to WWE?" If you're trying to leave your options open, your response should be at that point, well, maybe there, or maybe AEW, or maybe staying in Stardom. Like that would be how you would phrase it anyway.
She answered it very, very smartly.
But also, she has confirmed the major promotions.
Yes.
If Bozilla thinks it, then we're on the right track too, I guess. Okay. So let's frame this in terms of how we look at the tracker here, which is looking at the 1 year window, right? Mm-hmm. So, big thing in Stardom in a year will be the next 5-star Grand Prix. Do you think that Bozilla will be appearing in next year's 5-star Grand Prix?
Well, let me frame it this way first. So obviously, we saw B. Priestley got the big contract presentation.
Yes.
Bozilla never got that.
No, but she's also not somebody that was a name in wrestling prior to. She wasn't also previously in Stardom, for that matter, too.
Yeah, so my point is that there's a good chance that she's not under a contract and she's just working per date.
It's possible. Yeah.
So, looking at now the 5-star, that starts in like July. So we're talking like almost a year from now.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
So after this showing she had in Forbidden Door, do I think it's impossible that WWE shows no interest? I don't think it's impossible. I think WWE is going to throw interest. I mean, they did it with Vicaire. Obviously, I think they would do that with Bozilla as well. She had a good showing. Do I think if that happened, like I feel that, because here's the reason I say WWE is because I don't think that AEW is necessarily going to poach her unless they think she's leaving. I don't think they're going to do that to Stardom.
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm asking it and framing it as, do you think that she will be in the 5-star Grand Prix next year?
Right. So I'm just working out my thought process. So ultimately, the answer to your question is, do I think WWE will make an offer on her before the 5-star Grand Prix? I think they might, and if that happens, I think WWE will counter. I think AEW will counter. I think AEW would fight. I think she would fit better in AEW, to be honest, too. I don't think she's like the greatest, but I think just in terms of, her style, the way she presents herself and carries herself, she'd fit better in AEW. So, and if that's the case, even if she's in AEW, it doesn't necessarily mean she can't do the 5-star. So I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to say yes.
Okay, so if you were to put her on our tracker, then where would you place her? So it sounds like if you're saying yes to that question, I'm presuming you mean below toss-up line.
No, because once again, I said just because she gets signed by, say, AEW doesn't mean she can't do the 5-star.
Okay.
So I think there are two. I think those are the two more likely options here. I think that she stays with Stardom. The second option, I think AEW, because I do think that AEW would probably outbid for her. I really do. She feels like, someone that WWE would play the Mariah May or the Stephanie Vicaire deal, where they're going to lowball her, and and if she doesn't take the lower ball offer, they'll let her go and just say, fine, just go to AEW. She feels like a textbook case of that.
Okay.
And in that situation, she would go to AEW. And I think she is someone who is who would take the better offer. So because of that, those are the two most likely options in my opinion. She stays in Stardom, she goes to AEW. Both situations she could be in the 5-star. And frankly, I think it would do her well to be in the 5-star, and I think AEW knows that. I think she needs the reps, and something like that is good. They tried it with Anna Jay, and didn't necessarily work. She's still okay, but I think that would happen. Okay. So because of that, I think that I actually put her above the line.
Well, I think that you might be an outlier this week on your view. So if we could, I'm going to suggest we put her as unlikely for now, because I think that there's enough smoke going on with all this. She keeps being asked, she keeps being interviewed about possibly leaving Stardom already, but she's only just started with Stardom, And so I think that if we're looking at the kind of length of term that we're looking at here is, next year, do we think that within this next year she will leave Stardom? I think that, there's still not enough smoke yet for us to put her higher than unlikely right now.
Mm-hmm. And that's fine. I think it's only a matter of time before she's out of Stardom and she's in an American company. So that's why I voted probable. But I think time will tell on this, and either way, I think it's not happening imminently.
Yes. So something that seems to be happening imminently is Adam Priest. Were you familiar with Adam Priest prior to his work with AEW ROH?
I was familiar with him in DPW. I'm not someone who watches DPW religiously, but I do keep an eye on it, and I do know that he was, kind of seen as a guy on the indies that is, a good technical talent that a lot of the work rate people have been really kind of hyping up.
Yes.
So I'm aware of him in that regard. And then obviously I've seen him more in ROH lately as well. And
he's been feted by Bryan Danielson in particular.
Yes. So I see the hype, and I see it with him. My only thing is I think he could also just be and I don't mean this in a negative way, but he could be kind of a Daniel Garcia, where Daniel Garcia was kind of like the hottest guy in the indies for a long time, just because he was this technical work rate guy. They both kind of are the same size and same kind of style. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of struggled to really hit that next gear. So I don't know if he would be potentially at risk of being a Daniel Garcia. Well, and I don't mean that negative.
But... Daniel Garcia got a long-term TV contract out of that and a title reign too.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you mean.
He did, but I think that people definitely, especially around the time of his contract, I think people had higher expectations for Daniel Garcia, right out the gate. And it just seems to be kind of in that mid-card collision area. And I just think a lot of people thought he would be higher than this at this point. And maybe that's just his ceiling. Whereas Adam Priest, I don't necessarily see Adam Priest going above that either. But I think people thought Daniel Garcia might.
Okay. I thought that this was where Daniel Garcia would be at this point.
Okay.
Because, when you look at, the hierarchy above him in AEW and his age and everything like that, it's so the technical guys, the technical trio that, Danielson was looking at was Garcia, Yuta, and Moriarty.
There are a lot of people above him. That is true.
And I would say that Garcia is actually the highest of those three on the pecking order in AEW. So,
I suppose
it worked out pretty well, I think.
And there's not really it's hard to break through in the top of the card in AEW right now.
Yeah. Related to Adam Priest, he has been appearing on AEW proper the last 2 weeks. Last week he had a tag match with FTR, teaming with JD Drake. Then there was a pull apart brawl on Wednesday where he got a sucker punch off on Dax Harwood as quote unquote the ROH locker room coming out to be security.
I love that they had to call it the ROH locker room because there was a bunch of nobodies.
They had to call it that because they knew that Adam Priest was going to sucker punch Dax.
Right.
So they couldn't be security because then they would be like, well, why is this guy security? Why is he attacking? What's going on here? So they had to call it that. He then had another match last night with FTR, where this time he teamed up with Tommy Billington.
Yes.
And I thought that match was quite good.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, it wasn't like a blowaway match or anything, but I mean, I really like that pairing, to be completely honest.
I think that they work. I think that what they're trying to do, in all honesty, is they're trying to see what works best for Adam Priest in a tag team.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to see, okay, do we have him as the smaller guy in a brawling tag team, and that's where you would go with the JD Drake direction, or like have him as like a trios act with Workhorsemen, or are we going in the it's going to be a 80s 90s technical tag team throwback, so you're going to have the brawling technical guy, which is Priest, and then you have the aerial, like throwback aerial technical, and that's what Billington does. It's like it's very, if his style feels very old school, what technical wrestler was like, or old school what you would say an aerial wrestler was, is that kind of guy where he does like top rope spots and everything like that, but he's also like doing some like mat work.
I had a friend who pointed out that the one thing he loves that Tommy Billington does is that before he goes for a lockup, he does the thing where he like wipes his hands on his tights.
Yeah,
like he rubs his thighs and then he goes for it.
It's very heart.
Yes,
like he feels like he is from that family, which he is. So like it makes sense. Or he was partially trained by Brett, so like it's like, oh yeah, this all makes sense. Like when you look at him, his style reminds you a lot of like Bulldogs kind of stuff. Where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna jump off the top rope, but it's gonna be mostly like planches and stuff like that, or cross bodies. But you're gonna like be like, oh whoa, he's going to the top rope. But this guy that is doing all these like grappling stuff is going to the top rope.
Yeah, I liked what they did last night more than, I love JD Drake. He's fun to watch, but I think they have something with that team that they put together last night.
Yeah, and I saw some comments that some people were saying, because, as you were discussing, that people see Adam Priest as having a pretty high ceiling, or they have high hopes for him, I would say. Because he's currently the technical indie darling. And they were like, well, this tag team, I don't see that as great for him. People that are really into Adam Priest saying that. And my response is, I think that that's a good place. Like, if you want him to be somebody that you might see surprise appearance in the Continental Classic, I think keeping him on TV in a tag team that fits his style and keeps him on TV is a good idea. But
especially as they're rebuilding the tag division.
Yes, yeah. I think that this feels like a team that if FTR are getting the tag belts, this is the kind of team that you want to build up to counter FTR.
Yes.
We have a comment from TC. Do you think AEW gives Trevor Lee a shout since he's Priest's normal tag partner in DPW? I think the boat has sailed on that.
Yeah, if that was going to happen, that would have happened a while ago. And I said before when he was released, I don't need to, I'm not going to rehash the whole thing on Trevor Lee, but when he released that video of himself crying when he got cut and saying that he's going to be back there one day, you wait and see, or something along those lines, just the way he framed it, or he's going to work to get back there. It's like that was Cora Jade before Cora Jade. I mean,
that's somebody also that you were high on, too.
I was, and I just felt that because he's a fantastic talent. Don't get me wrong, Trevor Lee's great, but in this environment where perception is reality, especially at the time when AEW is being bombarded by media hits that they are second rate and not worth it. To sit there and bring in someone who says that that's hard to do. And I understand he was emotional at the time. He just lost his job. I felt for him, but he should not have done that.
So as far as Adam Priest's position on the tier list, so he has been on the tier list. Just that it was a snafu that we forgot to put him on the graphic. He has been possible on the tier list. Where would you put him at this point on our tracker?
So I voted to have him at likely.
I think that is the best place for him right now, because my opinion is, I would even say certain at this point, because he's been on TV for so long, or he's been on TV so prominently now, multiple times, that I think that they have him under a contract.
It seems like, AEW. It seems like a lot of the people they are putting on TV lately are people that they probably have at least under some type of right of first refusal contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that I would personally put him at certain, but I understand you putting him only at likely. And I think that we'll go with you on this one. We'll go with you on this one. We went with me on Bozilla, okay. So we'll give you this one. And then how about what else do we have to talk about this week? Did you want to touch on about Danielson seeming to stay in AEW long term?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time left, and I don't really have a lot to add on it, but I just think it is it's noteworthy in the sense that he's now going to be there. I mean, he was there a lot because he was obviously part of the creative team, but I don't know if he was necessarily there every week.
Yeah.
So now he will be, and maybe this is it's a situation where he could be now involved in angles, in the same way that Nigel was, or he could be in it in the same way that Taz was. So it's just nice in that regard. So maybe we'll see more Danielson actually involved in storylines. So that's not that doesn't really have anything in terms of where we're going with this, but I'm expecting. We have not heard anything on if he's gotten any surgery done yet, because that was the big thing, that he needs neck surgery. Feel like we'd have heard that by now if he had it done, or maybe he found some other measure that he was able to avoid it. But I would like to see him back wrestling.
Yeah.
And I imagine that will be soon, I would hope. Health allowing. But just seeing him back on TV every week would be nice, because I thought he did a really good job last time he did it.
Yeah, some people were joking like, "Oh, Adam Priest is on Collision because Danielson told him to put him on."
I hope so. Good job, Danielson, if that's the case.
Yeah, now it's gonna be like the whole Triple H thing in WWE. Oh yeah, this is a Danielson booking. No. This one, don't worry. Like, somebody didn't let Danielson cook on this one. That's why this episode's not good.
Chef Daniel.
Yeah, Chef Daniel. So how about we look through our tracker, the updated tier list for this week. I will read it down, and you can give thoughts after every tier if there's somebody that you wanted to touch on.
Okay.
In certain, we have nobody right now. In likely, we have Ninja Mac, Zosiah, Joe Hendry, Mike DeVicchio, and Adam Priest. Anybody you wanted to touch on there?
I think Mikey D and Zosiah will probably be moved off soon, but we'll see.
In probable, we have Dakota Kai and Danhausen.
Dakota Kai is out of her 90 days.
Yeah.
So if it was going to happen, we'll see. Maybe something will happen, but maybe they're just deciding they don't need her. We'll see.
I did see, so two things that I've seen recently is that, first off, Fightful Sean Ross Sapp is very adamant that he thinks that she's going to go to Japan probably. The other thing is that I saw somewhere else, I can't remember where, saying that she might have some visa issues and that's what's holding things up.
I mean, I'll be honest, I am getting less. I'm less and less certain she would go to AEW just as time goes on, and frankly, I don't know that AEW wants her. So maybe, and frankly, I don't know that she wants to go to AEW. I'm getting more and more feeling like that may not happen, but this is just a feeling and not based on anything. So we'll just see.
Toss up. We have Michael Oku and Rio.
I have nothing to add on them.
Possible tier. We have Private Partey, Sari, Chris Jericho, Priscilla Kelly, and Shayna Baszler.
Those all feel appropriate where they're at.
Unlikely, we have Gabe Kidd, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bailey, and newly added Bozilla, and we have brought down Miyu Yamashita. She was previously probable, now she is unlikely.
Yeah, she was now the lead, said to be the leader of Tokyo Joshi Pro, which, I don't know that necessarily means anything, but the fact that they're saying that, I don't think they would do that for someone who's imminently about to sign somewhere else. And obviously, she's been trying. It feels like she's been trying for years at this point on the U.S. Indies to get some type of buzz, taking bookings in AEW, and getting kind of a nice exposure Ring of Honor. They treated her with respect, but it feels like if it was going to happen, it would have happened. So moving her down makes sense.
Then down a remote, we have Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, Karrion Kross, Persephone, Leon Slater, Saraya, The Miz, Isla Dawn, Maki Ito, and newly moved down to remote tier from unlikely is Masha Slamovich.
Yeah, nothing to add on these. Masha moving down makes sense. She hasn't. I don't know. It feels like that if she was going to make a jump to NXT.
So yeah, I think. Well, I think that the reason why she was added to the tier list to begin with was because she had not been appearing on NXT, and so the theory from certain people was the people that previously in TNA had not been appearing on NXT were the ones that then just left TNA. So we're talking about Josh Alexander, talking about Kevin Knight, Speedball Mike Bailey, that kind of guy. They all left, ultimately. And then now Masha Slamovich has been appearing on NXT, which makes it so that it is far less likely, I think, that she'll be leaving TNA.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't think that the theory, I don't think, was not she's going to try to go to NXT, or sign with WWE. I think it was more, there was a theory that she would leave TNA to go to AEW.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and either way, I don't see either one happening.
Yeah.
So I think she's appropriate where she's at.
We'll also mention that we've dropped some people off the tier list for low confidence. Bishop Dyer, the former Baron Corbin, has been dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And then Deanna Purrazzo was also downgraded. She was previously unlikely. She's been dropped from the tracker for low confidence.
Yeah, I'm fine with both of those. It just, especially with Bishop Dyer, former Baron Corbin, I mean, it feels like he's just going to become a guy who comments on Twitter, and that's it.
So, do you have anything else to add for this week's episode of Wrestle Watch, Mr. Doug?
I do not. I think that's going to be it. We'll see what happens in the coming month. All Out's going to be interesting. If anyone pops up there, or if anyone vanishes, I think we'll keep an eye on AJ.
We'll be keeping an eye on Chris Jericho with that, I think.
Yeah,
in particular. Well. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on that weekend with All Out and WrestlePalooza. See what happens on that momentous day of wrestling history.
So with that, I am Doug.
And I'm Ryan. Have